I said I wasn't buying this one. I watched reviews, and while it looked really nice on people who were younger than me or people who had drier skin than me, my instincts told me that this was something that was not going to work on my 59-year-old, mature, oily skin. Besides, it's so expensive. With a retail price of $21.49 at Ulta, it was a hard pass for me. Until it wasn't. Hi, I'm Tina. Welcome to my channel. I am really glad that you're here with me today. So what did I buy and why did I change my mind? Well, the what you should already know if you paid any attention at all to the thumbnail and title before you clicked on the video. It is the Covergirl Simply Ageless Skin Perfector Essence, and the shade I have it in is light. The why? Well, there's two things. First of all, I got paid from the Amazon affiliate program. Thank you to everyone who's followed one of my links and purchased a product. I've gotten 3 gift cards in the over 2 years that I've been an Amazon affiliate, and this one was the biggest yet. It was $13 and some change. So I'm not getting rich from the Amazon affiliate program, but I am using those gift cards to buy products to test for you. So when I was looking around, I decided, well, maybe I'll look at this foundation because if it's $20 and I have a $13 gift card, well, that's only going to cost me $7, and I would spend that to test that for you guys. But then when I looked it up, I discovered that it was only $15.33. So with a $13 gift card, I got it for $2. So for $2, yeah, I'll take a chance and review it for you guys. Even though the pigment beads do kind of creep me out. Can you see those in there? I mean, I know it's just pigment and water. It just looks weird. The first day I tried the foundation, I didn't have time for a full day wear test, but I wanted to share that video with you anyway because some of my first impressions are kind of hysterical. Then I'll be showing you the second day when I had a little more experience using the product. And on this day, I take you outside, show it to you in natural light, and do check-ins and give you my final thoughts. So let's go back in time in 3, 2, 1. Now it's already like 5:30 in the evening, so I am not going to get a wear test out of this today. This is simply going to be my first impressions. I might get to like a 4-hour check-in, and I will certainly let you know what my thoughts are for that. But depending how it does in those 4 hours, I will then put it on tomorrow morning, do an outside in the sunlight check-in, wear it all day, and let you know how it held up on my over 50 mature oily skin. Covergirl describes their Simply Ageless Skin Perfector Essence as a skincare and makeup hybrid with micro droplet technology. And you can see those droplets in the water when I tip the bottle. It kind of freaks me out just a little bit. It contains 0.5% bakuchiol and tranexamic acid. It contains 71% water, and they claim that it's 98% natural origin ingredients. It's clean, vegan, formulated without parabens, sulfates, phthalates, and mineral oil, suitable for all skin types, even dry and sensitive. I am not so concerned about those with dry skin as I am with my oily skin. Now, the 71% water claim is one of the reasons why I didn't think I was going to buy this. It retails for over $20, and 71% water for $20 is really expensive water. But I caved, so let's see what this does. Okay, that was a really big pump, and when it comes out, it is not very appetizing looking, I'm not gonna lie. But apparently, when you press it, you break those beads, and it starts melding with your skin. The micro droplet technology are pigmented capsules that blend easily to distribute a sheer even tint for a radiant, bare skin filter effect. So that was a lot. I'll try to blend it out a little bit more. Up my arm, maybe. Because, frankly, right now, it's not looking so great. Put it up my arm. It's a lightweight gel texture, and the 71% water provides an instant burst of moisture upon application, which hydrates the skin for up to 24 hours. It provides a skin-like finish, leaving your complexion plump, refreshed, and more youthful. I guess you kind of have to get the water to dry, which, I don't know, that's kind of weird. And it's just kind of smearing around right now. But I did use a lot, so we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm still rubbing it in. It's looking better. It's not settled into all of my dry, cracked skin. You can wear this alone or use it as a primer with your favorite foundation. Maybe it's not so bad. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens when I put it on my face. Alright, so this has had just a bit to dry down and settle in, and it's actually not looking too bad. Let's put some on my face. First of all, I gotta get some hair out of the way because this stuff is really runny. I already did the overhead shots, so I do have a little bit of an idea of how it comes out and that sort of thing. And yeah, I don't want my hair in the way. I have my eyes done, which is unusual for me. Normally I do my base first and then my eyes, but I've actually worked already today, came home, took off just my base makeup, touched up my eyes, and here we are. By the way, if you're curious what's on my eyes, I'm using the Sydney Grace Mountain Trail palette that I got from my friend Katie at Katie's Joyful Life. This is a really, really pretty palette. And when I decided I was going to wear this green shirt today, I knew I wanted to use this palette. Okay, I think I'm stalling. Let's put this on the back of my hand. I'm going to put it on one side of my face with my fingers and then on the other side of my face with a brush so we can see any difference there. I thought about doing like my forehead with a sponge, but the directions actually do say to use your fingers or a brush. So I think maybe a sponge will absorb too much of the pigment and leave you with basically no coverage, because this is intended to be a very light coverage foundation. All right, so I'm going to pump some out here. Now I did a full pump in my overhead shots and it was a lot. So I'm not going to do a full pump this time. I'm just going to put a little bit out there. We can always add more. And then I'm going to mush it around. I know it's really appetizing, isn't it? It's just, I don't know, there's just something about it. And then I'm going to transfer it to my face, which is not really transferring very well. I wonder if it would be better to like squirt it right on your face because it's leaving a lot on my hand. Oh, now I'm getting some of the pigment. Initially, I felt like I was just picking up the water. It does only come in 8 shades, which is a little disappointing, but I think because it's so sheer that the shades are probably pretty flexible. I think I've gotten all of it off of my hand. I'm not sure I like the whole having to let the water evaporate or soak in or whatever. I don't know if I like that. But, all right, so there is a half a pump on my skin versus nothing on my skin over here. I'm going to grab my 10x mirror and take a little bit closer look. I didn't put any primer on, and all I did after washing my face was put on my e.l.f. Hydrogel Moisturizer. I did not put on the rest of my skincare again, sunscreen, all that kind of stuff. That'll happen tomorrow morning. So that's actually not bad. I'm going to do my forehead, but I'm going to put it directly on my forehead so that I don't like leave a whole bunch on my hand, and see if maybe the coverage will be better. This is just so weird. I don't like doing my foundation when I've already got my eyebrows on because I feel like I'm going to get foundation in it and ruin my eyebrows. That's why I like to do my eyes after foundation, but I know a lot of people do it the other way. Okay, I liked that better, putting it directly on my skin. I feel like I got a little bit more coverage that way because I didn't leave it behind on my hand. When you first go in, when you put it on your hand, you're picking up mostly water and it's hard to get the pigment. At least I feel like it is. But this, I feel like it left more coverage. So with the foundation and without. I wonder if I could pick it up better if I put it on my palette, aka my Dollar Tree ceramic soap dish. I might try that for the brush side. I'm going to use the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush, and I'm going to squirt it here on my palette. And I guess I'll go in with the brush and break up these beads. Wow, that just kind of picked it up right away. Soaked all of it up, the water, the pigment, everything. And it is transferring the pigment to my skin. I think I might like that better than my fingers. I feel like this is a foundation that might have a little bit of a learning curve on how to best apply it to your skin. It is very light coverage. I mean, I have a little pimple here. I've got some redness over here, red spot over here, and it's really not doing a lot to cover it. It's just kind of muting it. And that might be okay. I mean, I'm not always going for full coverage. In fact, lately I've been liking less coverage more than full coverage because I feel like it just gets cakey looking when it's full coverage. I feel like most of it has come off of my brush, which is kind of interesting. All right, so here is the brush coverage, just one coat, and the finger coverage. It's gathered a little bit in these lines here. I think it looks a little better on my nose on the finger side than on the brush side. I feel like it's kind of in every pore over here. I think it looks really good on my forehead. I cannot raise my eyebrows. This is like as much as they go. So I don't have forehead wrinkles, and I've never had Botox or anything like that. I just can't do it. They don't respond. I can scrunch them, and so I have 11s, but I can't really do much for raising them. But what I can raise, I end up with these little micro lines right there. A lot of times foundation will sit in that. This is not. I'm going to see if I can build this up just a little bit. I'm going to put some right on my cheek so that I don't lose the pigment. I like that better, but it does look kind of weird and smeary before the water soaks in. On the other side, I'm going to build it. I'm going to put it directly on my face and use the brush. I use the same amount, 3 little dots. And see if that builds any better or worse than the finger side. A lot of times a brush will give you better coverage, but I feel like the brush kind of removes coverage and doesn't blend it in as well. I have sebaceous filaments on my nose in here, and the brush side has emphasized those really, really badly, I feel like. I do not see that emphasized on the finger side. So word of warning. I'm going to try on the brush side using a damp sponge to blend and see if I can tamp that down a little bit. No, that just took it off my skin, and now I have polka dot pores. Oh, having trouble here. See if I can put a little on this side with my fingers because I really want to give it a fair shot. So tomorrow I think I will put it on with my fingers from the get-go all over my face because I have a feeling this is just going to end up looking smeary by putting on more. All right, this is a little gross. I don't know if it's a function of like the super hydrating of my skin or what, but I feel like my skin is just like rolling off and kind of flaky. I'm going to stop messing with it. I don't think for this application I'm going to set it. I am going to see if it dries down. Right now it feels a little bit tacky. So I'm going to go put on some concealer, putter around a little bit, see if it dries down. All right, so I do feel that it has dried down some. It is still feeling a little tacky. It is definitely glowy, skin-like. I just put on some blush and concealer. I think I would probably like this better if it was powdered so that it didn't feel sticky, but we'll see how it wears for the next 4 hours. I'll let you know, and if I'm happy with that, Then I will continue into a wear test tomorrow. So this has been on my face about 5 hours, and I'm not sure that there's a whole lot of it left. It's pretty well gone through here and on my chin and on my nose. I think I still have a little on the outer part of my face, but it's really shiny, and I've been able to feel it on my face like the entire time I've been wearing it. It hasn't really dried down, and it's coming off on my fingers. So using this by itself is obviously a no-go. Tomorrow I'm going to put it on with a primer, and I'm going to set it because that's how I wear all of my foundations. I just wanted to get an idea of how it would do on its own. And the answer, not that I'm surprised, is on me, it doesn't do very well on its own. So we'll give it a go tomorrow, give it a little help, and see if I can get through at least my work day. I work part-time, so I only work half a day. But by the time I put it on, get to work, do my work, get home, that sort of thing, we're looking at 5 or 6 hours. It should be able to at least do that, right? We'll see. It's late. I'm going to bed. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm getting ready for work, so I'm also having my coffee. Since I did not like how it blended with the brush at all, I'm not even going to use a brush today. But I am going to use a mattifying primer, and I'm also going to set it because I always use a primer and set my foundation. I just yesterday wanted to see what would happen if I didn't. I knew it wasn't going to go well because a skin tint never does well on my skin unless I prime and set. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to use this mattifier primer from Catrice. It is an oil control primer. It says it has Evermatte and willow bark extract. Today I have all of my skincare and my SPF on, just like I normally do when I'm putting my makeup on. So a more true test. I also exfoliated better last night when I was doing my evening skincare, so hopefully some of those sebaceous filaments around my nose and chin that were causing havoc yesterday have been taken care of. All right, so let's put this on. I think I liked it best yesterday, just putting it right on my skin and rubbing it in. So let's go for that. I just don't know if I like the texture of this. It's really smeary and weird while the water is soaking in, evaporating, whatever. And you just have to keep messing with it. But then, I mean, it does settle in. It's just not as quick. I think I have that side blended in. You probably saw I have a fairly large red spot right there. It's not really covered much. So this is the side that I have it on and the side I don't have it on. Very, very light coverage. Let's see what happens if I just put it on my fingers and put it on that way. Maybe I can control how much I have better. I feel like maybe I got a little more this time. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Okay, I'm going to take a look. I have a couple of dry patches. There's one here above my lip. I have a little one right here, and I have one on my nose. And I feel like the rubbing this in causes those dry patches to be more noticeable. I'm going to put a little on my forehead and speed this up. By the way, I am not using full pumps when I do this. I am just barely pressing and getting a little bit. I feel like maybe I got a little too much for the forehead. Let me get a tissue and wipe my fingers off. Okay, so it's gathered weird in my eyebrows and in my hairline. So I'm going to kind of dab that out a little bit. Maybe I'll use my brush to feather out the hairline a little bit because the brush does remove coverage. Okay, I think that helped. I don't know what's going to happen if I try and blend this a little bit with my damp sponge, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because yesterday I felt like it stayed really tacky, and I'm wondering if I can reduce the moisture just a little bit. I mean, it did remove a little bit of coverage. I feel like it does look very skin-like because it's so lightweight that you can definitely see my skin through it. I think what I'll do on this red spot is actually use some concealer there rather than trying to build this up more. I'm going to wash my hands, put on some concealer, and I'll be back to set this. Concealer's on. I put a little touch of concealer here where I had some redness, on this red spot here, and on one here. I think that did just enough and without adding extra coverage. And I certainly didn't want to try to layer this up because of how smeary it is. I feel like I don't think it would work. Anyway, that I think gave me enough coverage that I feel confident with how my skin looks. I used the Essence Camouflage Plus Matte Concealer, just a really light layer of it. And now I'm going to powder with the Maybelline Fit Me 05 in Fair. And I'm really going to focus that powder under my eyes and in the T-zone. I do kind of want to leave the outsides of my face unpowdered because I kind of want to see what happens with a full day wear if I do that. So we're going to do this in the T-zone. And just kind of the fronts of the cheeks where I tend to get oily. That really mattified and blurred the pores. So if you look in here, how smooth that looks now. As this has settled into my skin, I'm liking it more and more. I hope it lasts. I forgot that I want to set this, so I'm going to use my Urban Decay All-Nighter and put a little setting spray on. I wish I had remembered to do that before I put my mascara on. I like to set my face before mascara because the setting spray re-wets the mascara, and then I almost always end up with dots on my upper lid, but I'll try to not open my eyes too wide and see if I can keep that from happening. So I'm going to, now that this is dried just a little bit, I'm going to gently press that in. And that's the makeup done here in my studio lights. Here we are in the natural light by my window, and honestly, I think it looks really good. I did bronze it up, and so I think the shade looks just fine. I also think that I could probably get away with the next shade up. But let me come in really close so you can see my skin. And it looks like skin. I don't feel like it's settled in any lines or wrinkles, that it's emphasizing anything. I don't mind that I have lines and wrinkles, but I don't want the products that I put on my face to make them look like I have more than I do. Next stop, outside. I'm at the 6-hour mark on the Covergirl Simply Ageless Skin Perfector Essence, and I do have some thoughts. Like most skin tints, serum foundations, that sort of thing, I am looking pretty shiny. I know the assumption is that when you're in your 50s and beyond, you have dry skin, but that is not always the case. My skin is still oily, some days very oily. Now that's good news because oily skin kind of stays plumped up and the wrinkles and stuff take a little longer to form, but it's also kind of a pain because a lot of the mature women reviewing makeup on YouTube do have dry skin. So if you're in the oily skin camp like me and you've battled your whole life trying to not look like a disco ball because of the oily shine that breaks through, when your skin looks like this, you kind of feel like it's a fail. I know that the whole glass skin thing is in, and maybe that's what this is, but I feel like I'm right teetering on that edge between healthy glow and disco ball. And I don't mind looking glowy as long as I don't feel tacky. And this feels tacky. One nice thing about a very light coverage foundation is that they tend to wear off gracefully. I did sneeze like 20 times going to work today, and so then I had to blow my nose. So it is worn off here on both sides. It's pretty well gone on my chin, and I didn't rub my chin or do anything like that, so that is just makeup wear. I feel like the bronzer and blush have pretty much held on the side of the face, and if you remember, I didn't set the outsides of my face. So setting it didn't really seem to help a lot. My forehead, I haven't really looked at yet. It's shiny, and it does feel greasy. I mean, you can see that that did transfer to my hands. It's like 2 p.m. now, and I'm going to go ahead and take this to 6 or 7 o'clock tonight. and then I'll probably not be able to stand it anymore and take it off. But I will definitely give you an update, because sometimes a foundation will get to this point and then just kind of stay here. And if that's the case, then I can live with that. But if it continues to deteriorate from here, then that's going to be a no-go for me. The good news is I don't really notice it settling anywhere. I just have this weird wear off on my chin and around my nose. So, I mean, there are trade-offs. If you want a really light coverage, skin-like skin tint, then it seems like most of the time you have to put up with less wear time. Most of the time, I'm not willing to make that trade-off. You may have noticed that there was no bright sunshine picture. That's because I was filming before I went to work and looked at the clock and realized I needed to get myself out of the house. I am going to go outside now. It's not going to be quite the same as if this was freshly applied, but you can get an idea of how it's sitting on my skin in the bright sunshine 6 hours after application. So let's go outside. All right, so it's really bright out here. The sun is pretty much directly overhead, so the shadows are kind of weird, but I will lift my face and show you what this looks like on my skin. And I won't be able to give you my thoughts on it until after I review the footage, because I really can't see the screen right now. All right, so that's the bright sunshine 6 hours in. Okay, it has been 10 hours and I am ready to share my thoughts on this foundation, at least insofar as I'm able to after just testing it for like 1.5 days. With no primer, no powder, no setting spray, it is an unmitigated disaster on my mature oily skin. It looked okay when I first put it on with my fingers. It looked terrible when I put it on with a brush. I had polka dot pores, and there's absolutely no way I would consider wearing it that way. Today, however, with the primer and the powder and the setting spray, it actually looked pretty good. It still at first wanted to kind of cling to this dry patch I have above my lip and this little spot over here. But that kind of melded in and wasn't so obvious after an hour or so. So I won't ding it for that. And while it does look pretty shiny right now, I don't know that it really looks any different now than it did at the 6 hour mark. You know, I still have that spot on my chin that wore off, but it hasn't gotten bigger. I still have it worn off on the sides of my nose, but it hasn't gotten more worn off. And I think it maybe is a little more greasy because I can feel it. And I feel like my bangs are stuck to my forehead. When you wear bangs and your forehead gets greasy, your bangs get greasy. And that just kind of feels gross. So am I going to use it again? I don't know. I really don't like the experience of using it. I don't like the pigment suspended in the water, and when you put it on your face, then the water has to sink in or evaporate before the pigment can go in, and then the pigment just feels kind of smeary, and it just was a lot of work. I didn't actually try it with the sponge, and I almost wish that I had, but I can't really see it working very well because I think it would just absorb everything and you would have absolutely no coverage. I really wanted to be able to sit down here at the 10-hour check-in and tell you that my instinct was wrong, that this foundation turned out to be beautiful on mature oily skin, and I should have bought it weeks ago. Unfortunately, I can't. This is not a great foundation on mature oily skin, at least not on my mature oily skin. And if you've watched my other foundation reviews and have found that you have similar foundation preferences to me, I recommend that you save your money and do not buy this foundation. It was worth $2 for me to try it, but I don't think it's worth 20. If you're looking for a skin tint that's going to look beautiful on mature oily skin and last all day without being oily and breaking apart on your chin, then I recommend the Maybelline Superstay 24-hour skin tint. I reviewed this. I'll put it up there if you haven't seen it, if you want to go check it out. But this beats this hands down. Now I have to figure out what I'm going to do with this, because I seriously doubt I will ever put it on my face again. If this video was helpful to you, then I would ask that you would take a second, hit that thumbs up button. If you want to spend a little more time watching some videos, I'll put a couple up for you. I hope that you all have a beautiful, blessed day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.